before dawn. She tiptoed downstairs into a pastel green hallway and took in her surroundings. Walls covered in bad art, paintings of flowers and vegetables, greeting cards with angels or puppies on the front with sayings like, "Hang in there," a defunct robotic vacuum leaning against a corner, covered in dust. A magazine rack by the stairs overflowed with old newspapers, and a plush angel sat on the bottom step. Since Lily was still sleeping, Adri decided to work on the theta. She slipped back upstairs and quietly unfolded her small desk factory from its case, putting it on the nightstand beside her bed, programming it to print out the part she thought she'd need. Within moments, the machine was churning out a small circuit board that she thought might do the trick. Then she crept back down the stairs and outside into the cool morning air. But the circuit board didn't fix the theta. Neither did a reinstall of the operating system. It had been a long time coming and, she guessed, almost perfect timing. She patted the hood sadly. She glanced at the sky, just beginning to lighten into an orange haze. Time of death? Sunrise. The car was her most prized possession, and possibly her best friend. She'd miss it more than anything or anyone else. She turned, looking around, then veered left into the tall grass to the right of the driveway, blowing in the breeze. She wandered past the bunkhouse and into the back, where the yard gave way to fields of tall blue grass that stretched on forever and seemed to swallow a distant abandoned farmhouse. Coming around the far side and back into the barn lot, she moved toward a small dark bruise of a pond still engulfed in shadows. She didn't notice the low, shin-height fence until she stumbled over it, just as a movement in front of her startled her. "Crap," she muttered. She leaned forward, her skin crawling. Something was alive at the side of the water. She could hear it scraping through the dirt. As her eyes adjusted, she could make out a shape that looked like... what? An old shield? A huge rock? A moving huge rock? It was at least as tall as her knees. She could just make out a shifting within the larger shape. The head. It was turning to look at her. And suddenly she relaxed. It was a turtle. A tortoise, she corrected herself. The big ones were always tortoises, she knew from biology. She tried to remember if they were vegetarians or not. A big bowl of water sat near the lean-to that had been built, Adri assumed, to shade her from the sun. Adri approached the animal slowly. She stopped a couple of feet away and squatted to sit awkwardly on the low fence. "You look cheerful," she said flatly, because the tortoise looked serious and melancholy, like most tortoises. The creature was so large it was one step away from a miniature pony. It had a shell like a saddle, sloped and uneven and droopy-looking, and a long neck, which it stuck out farther and farther now, craning to gaze at her inquisitively. She scooted closer with an irresistible urge to lay her hands on the glinting shell and find out what it might feel like under her palm. The creature turned its head to her, snuggled against her arm. "Oh, it's like that, huh?" She reached toward its neck and brushed something cool and metallic. She grasped it between her forefinger and thumb. A dangling metal name tag, more like a little necklace than a collar. She squinted in the dim dawn light. Galapagos, it read. Chills crawled up her arms. Just then, from the corner of her eye, she saw a light flicking on in the house. She glanced one more time at the tag, took a deep breath, and headed across the yard. The house was warm, and salsa music was